The silver eagle pendant caught the morning light as it dangled from Eleanor Hollister's fingers, its wings frozen in eternal flight. 5 years since her mother's passing, yet the weight of this replica felt foreign against her palm, a poor substitute for the original lost somewhere in the Colorado wilderness. Behind her, the cemetery overlooked Silver Falls, a town that had sprung from wilderness through her father's iron will. She traced the engraved feathers with her thumb, feeling the ridges worn smooth from her mother's touch. "I'm keeping my promise," she whispered to the headstone. A raven called from a nearby pine, its harsh voice shattering the silence. Eleanor closed her fingers around the pendant, the metal warming against her skin. The mountains watched impassive witnesses to secrets buried deeper than any grave. Somewhere in those peaks, the original eagle pendant lay forgotten, along with the truth about the Cheyenne woman who had saved her life only to lose her own. Eleanor slipped the chain over her neck and turned toward town, unaware of the dark eyes watching from the ridge above. Valley Forge, Colorado, a place of vast rolling plains and rugged mountains standing guard in the distance. In winter, snow drapes over the fields like a thick white blanket, silent and still until the wind stirs it into gusts that whisper across frozen ground. On clear nights, the stars seem close enough to touch a million glimmers against the inky sky. But this December darkness has come early and thick, and the chill in the air carries the promise of the largest snowstorm in 2 decades. A single stretch of highway leads into town, flanked by wooden fences, half buried in powder. Beyond them, silhouettes of old barns and cattle sheds rest dormant, as if holding their breath for the impending blizzard. The townspeople go about their holiday preparations with a sense of urgency. Storekeepers shovel entryways, ranchers stock extra feed for their livestock, and windows glow with early Christmas lights, tiny beacons of warmth against the frosty gloom. It is into this hushed tension that the Monroe family returns, carrying both gifts and unspoken burdens. For Dr. Claire Monroe and her 9-year-old daughter Lily, the approach to Valley Forge brings a swirl of memories, some comforting, some painful. This is where Lily's grandmother once lived, where the sprawling farmland once belonged to Claire's husband's side of the family, and more recently where tragedy struck. Their truck moves slowly over the icy roads. The headlights slice through swirling flurries as they pass a sign that reads, "Welcome to Valley Forge, population 3,412." Inside the cab, Lily sits in the passenger seat, bundled in a thick navy blue coat. She is small for her age, her feet barely reaching the floor. Long auburn hair peeks out from under a knitted beanie, and her gray eyes stare quietly at the swirling snow beyond the glass. A faint reflection of her face is visible on the window, revealing a subdued expression that seems older than her 9 years. She is a child who once laughed freely and ran wild under the sun. But ever since her father's accident 2 winters ago on these very mountains, Lily has retreated into a shell of silence. The snow especially holds a haunting grip on her imagination. Claire at 38 drives with careful focus. Her dark hair is pulled back in a low ponytail, and worry lines crease her forehead. Although she is a veterinarian specialized in the conservation of wild horses, particularly the rugged Mustangs that roam the hills, her passion has been tested by loss. The same accident that took her husband shook the foundation of her and Lily's lives. Yet she carries on, fueled by a deep empathy for animals and a sense of responsibility to protect them. She glances over at her daughter from time to time, her own heart aching at Lily's withdrawn demeanor. A brown and white dog named Sadie whines softly from the back seat, tail thumping nervously against the seat whenever the truck skids slightly on the ice. Claire reaches back to pat Sadie's head. "Easy girl," she murmurs. "We're almost there." Lily's voice emerges for the first time in hours, soft, almost inaudible. "How long will we stay this time?" Claire exhales, weighing her answer. "Just through Christmas, sweetheart. Maybe a little beyond, depending on the weather." The child nods her gaze, never leaving the snowy roadside. The swirl of white seems endless, mesmerizing in its relentless dance around the headlights. Claire wants to say more, to ask Lily if she's okay, but the words catch in her throat. She reminds herself that Lily needs time. She needs to feel safe before she opens up. Pushing her might only intensify the girl's reluctance to speak. The truck finally turns onto a gravel road leading to a well-worn property, Weather-beaten wooden posts mark the entrance to the homestead, a place that once bustled with the footfalls of family gatherings. Now it seems to stand in hushed anticipation. Light spills from the windows of the main farmhouse, a welcoming glow against the otherwise bleak surroundings. In that light, Claire can see a tall figure on the porch. Jasper Walker, an older man with broad shoulders and a face etched by decades of ranch work and heartbreak. Jasper's arms are crossed over his chest, shielding himself from the cold. His thinning gray hair is tucked under a battered cowboy hat, and his breath crystallizes in the air. At the sound of the truck's engine, he shifts, letting his arms drop to his sides. Claire notices a brief, stern glance pass over his features when he spots the silhouette of Lily in the passenger seat. Pulling to a stop, Claire turns off the engine. "We're here," she says, more to herself than to Lily. Sadie scrambles forward, pressing her nose against the window, ears perked. They step out into the icy wind. Lily involuntarily shivers, hugging her arms around her small frame. Sadie leaps down next, sniffing the ground excitedly, her tail wagging in wide arcs. Jasper descends from the porch, each step echoing on the rickety boards. "Claire," he greets tersely, nodding at her. Then his gaze lands on Lily. An uneasy silence stretches between them. Jasper clears his throat. "Welcome back." Lily only offers a small nod. She clutches a small backpack to her chest as if it's a shield. Claire rubs her arms to chase away the chill. "Thank you, Jasper," she says softly. "We appreciate you letting us stay." Jasper's weathered face creases. "Well, Martha, God rest her soul would have insisted. She loved you both." His words end abruptly, as though he said more than he intended. Without further ado, he motions to the door. "You'd best come inside. The storm's picking up." The farmhouse interior is warm, dominated by the scent of burning wood and old memories. Family photos line the walls, including pictures of a young Jasper with a proud grin cradling a newborn foal, and others of a young boy, Tommy's father, beside a spirited horse. The floors are scuffed pine laid down generations ago, and each board creaks in a way that is almost comforting. In one corner stands a small Christmas tree ornament, twinkling under yellowish light. It's a modest decoration, perhaps, put up by Tommy and Jasper earlier in the week. Compared to the lights and tinsel in town, it looks worn but sincere. Tommy Walker. Jasper's 10-year-old grandson peers out from behind a doorway. He's wearing a flannel shirt a size too big and jeans that bunch around his ankles. At first glance, he seems both curious and wary. He's heard stories about Lily, how the local news lauded her father as a hero for his rescue work in the mountains. How Lily was the girl who lost her dad so tragically. It's a narrative that both intrigues and confuses Tommy, leaving him unsure of how to approach her. Claire manages a small smile. "Hey there, Tommy. It's been a while." "Hello, Dr. Monroe," he replies, polite but guarded. Then his eyes dart to Lily. "Hi." Lily nods, offering a quick quiet, "Hi." She glances at Tommy for only a moment before dropping her gaze to the floor. Sadie is the first to break the tension by trotting up to Tommy and sniffing at his pant leg. He kneels and pats her head, evidently grateful for a distraction. "Good girl," he murmurs to the dog, a trace of a smile touching his lips. Jasper sets 2 steaming cups of cocoa on the kitchen table. "For Lily and Tommy," he explains. Then addressing Claire, "You want coffee? Got a fresh pot going." Claire nods her shoulders, relaxing slightly. "Yes, please." As they settle into the kitchen, its curtains drawn against the swirling night, Jasper retrieves coffee for Claire and stands with arms folded while Lily quietly sips her cocoa. She holds the mug tightly between both hands, seeking warmth. The light overhead flickers slightly, the wind outside howling against the eaves. For a moment, nobody speaks, each grappling with their own thoughts. Eventually, Jasper clears his throat. "Heard the government set to reapprove the culling of those Mustangs," he begins. His tone is curt, as though this is a conversation he's been waiting to broach. "They've been a menace, trampling fences, damaging grazing lands. And with the storm on the way, resources are stretched thin." Claire sets her coffee cup down carefully. "They're not a menace, Jasper. They're a part of the ecosystem. We just need a better management strategy like birth control programs, humane relocation. Not traps and not slaughter." A flicker of resentment passes over Jasper's face. "Funny how that's your stance, considering." He stops himself, glancing in Lily's direction. But Lily is too lost in her own world to notice the tension. She's fixated on the faint swirl of steam rising from her cocoa, her thoughts a million miles away. Claire's voice is controlled, but it carries an undercurrent of hurt. You know my reasons, and you know I believe this is the right thing to do. Jasper's only response is a non-committal grunt. He turns to the window, peering out into the growing storm. Biggest blizzard in 20 years, he mutters almost to himself. Then he directs his gaze at Tommy. Take Lily upstairs, show her where she'll be sleeping. Tommy nods, abandoning what's left of his cocoa. He leads Lily up a creaking staircase to a small room at the end of the hall. The space is simple, a twin bed with plaid sheets, an old wooden dresser, and a single window frosted around the edges. Boxes stacked in the corner suggest it was used mostly for storage. Lily enters, placing her backpack on the dresser. She can sense Tommy watching her with curiosity, but she has no energy to speak. She feels the pressure of the house's memories pressing in from every corner. Pictures, furniture, the smell of old wood. Everything reminds her of the father she lost. Tommy lingers at the door. He fumbles for something to say. If you need anything, I'm just down the hall. Lily offers a quick, polite nod. Thanks. He stands there a second longer, looking like he wants to ask 100 questions, but can't find the words. Then he leaves the floorboards, groaning beneath his retreating footsteps. Lily looks around the room, her eyes drawn to the window. Snow continues its ceaseless descent, almost hypnotic. With a tremor in her breath, Lily walks to the window. She imagines the swirling flakes as tiny ghosts fluttering through the black sky. A pang echoes in her chest, remembering the night her father never came home. How the snow had fallen just like this. In that memory, her father's warm smile is replaced by the stark finality of a phone call. A rescue mission gone wrong, a slip on ice, a life cut short. Lily closes her eyes, pressing her forehead against the cold glass, feeling tears threaten to break free. Downstairs, Claire stands in the living room with a steaming cup of coffee in hand. She glances at an old photograph on the mantel, her husband beaming, holding Lily in his arms. Echoes of better days. She senses Jasper's presence behind her before she hears him speak. You plan on heading out tomorrow to check on those Mustangs, he asks, voice gruff. She nods. Yes. I got a call from the conservation office. They've installed new tracking collars on a few mares. I need to ensure they're not too close to the highway, especially with the storm. Jasper sighs. Don't want to be the one to say this, but watch yourself. They'll be hungry and spooked. A storm like this can drive any animal to desperate behavior. Claire turns to face him, her expression firm. I know the risks, but it has to be done. He weighs her words, then mutters, Suit yourself. With that, he heads upstairs to his own room, leaving Claire alone with the low crackle of the fireplace. For a long moment, she stays there listening to the wind rattle the windows. It feels as though the entire house holds its breath, anticipating not just the storm outside, but the emotional storms that swirl within its walls. Claire steels herself, knowing that the next few days will not be easy. The next morning dawns gray and silent. The snowfall has subsided temporarily, giving the land a brief reprieve before the larger blizzard arrives. Patches of white cover every fence post, tree branch, and rooftop. Claire is up early, rummaging through the barn in search of supplies. Sadie trots alongside, her nose to the ground, investigating every corner as though discovering a new universe. Sunlight filters through the gaps in the barn walls, revealing dust motes dancing in the cold air. Old tack hangs from wooden pegs and stacks of hay bales line one side. The space smells of earth and horsehair, tinged with the sweet mustiness of aged timber. Claire sets out a small pile of feed, ensuring that the few remaining ranch horses have their morning meal before she takes the truck out to search for the Mustangs. Lily appears at the barn door, wearing a thick coat and a crocheted hat pulled down to her eyebrows. She stands there hesitant, as if unsure whether she's allowed inside. Claire's face softens at the sight of her daughter. Morning, sweetheart, she says, turning from her task. Did you sleep okay? Lily shrugs. I guess. Her voice is barely above a whisper. She steps forward and runs her hand over the nose of a bay mare, which nickers softly in response. Claire notices Lily's fleeting smile at the horse's gentle affection. She recalls how before the accident, Lily had been fearless around animals, how she used to chase after the ranch dogs or help her mother feed the horses with a wide grin. Those days feel distant now. I'm going out to check on the wild horses, Claire explains carefully, not wanting to alarm Lily. There's a group near the far ridge. I'll be back by lunch. Lily's gaze flickers with a hint of curiosity. Can I come? The question surprises Claire. She hesitates, weighing the risks. I'm not sure it's safe. The roads are icy, and the storm could start again. But Lily's eyes, even though subdued, hold a quiet determination. I can help. I won't get in the way. Claire exhales, torn between caution and the hope that involving Lily might help her heal. She glances outside at the calm morning. The sky looks clear for now. All right, she concedes. But you have to promise me you'll stay in the truck if I tell you to. And if anything seems dangerous, we'll turn back immediately. Lily nods. I promise. Half an hour later, they're driving away from the farmhouse in Claire's old pickup. The heater hums, blowing lukewarm air. Lily watches the landscape unfold outside her window, snow-laden pine trees, rolling hills that seem to sparkle in the morning sun, and shadows of bare aspens standing like silent sentinels. Eventually, they reach a remote clearing where the land opens up, revealing a wide valley framed by distant peaks. Claire pulls the truck to a stop, grabbing a pair of binoculars from the dashboard. Through them, she scans the horizon, looking for the telltale shapes of Mustangs. Lily sits quietly, occasionally leaning forward for a better look. Over there, Claire murmurs, pointing. See that ridge? I think I see movement. Lily squints but can't immediately make out anything. Claire hands her the binoculars, guiding her small hands to focus. Lily's breath catches in her throat as she spots a cluster of silhouettes on a distant slope, wild horses standing out against the snow. One of them in particular draws her eye, a mare, with a shimmering silver coat as though dusted with starlight. That's Echo, Claire says softly, noticing Lily's fixation. I helped deliver her foal last spring. She was in rough shape back then, but she made it through. Echo raises her head as if sensing they are being watched. Even from this distance, Lily can see the elegance in the mare's stance. Next to Echo stands a smaller figure, her foal, a grayish colt that's growing fast. The rest of the herd lingers nearby, heads bent to the ground, searching for tufts of grass beneath the snow. A strange stirring of warmth flickers inside Lily. Something about the silver mare captivates her, an inexplicable familiarity. She hands the binoculars back to her mother, staying silent, but her cheeks are faintly flushed. Claire steps out of the truck cautiously. Stay here, Lily. I'm just going to walk a bit closer and get some readings. I won't be long. She pats her coat pocket where she keeps a notepad and a small rangefinder to record the horse's locations and behavior. Windows up. Okay, it's cold. Lily nods. Okay. Sadie watches Claire depart, whining softly at the door, wanting to follow. Lily shakes her head. Stay, she whispers, though she's not sure the dog hears. Sadie ultimately settles for resting her muzzle on the windowsill, ears alert. Through the windshield, Lily sees Claire walking carefully through the powder, stopping every so often to jot down notes. Echo lifts her head again, and their eyes briefly meet across the snowy expanse. The mare snorts, stepping protectively in front of her foal. Claire doesn't approach too close. She's respectful of their space, aware of their wariness. The wind is picking up again, scattering flurries into the air. Lily notices a few darker clouds creeping in from the west, a sign that the storm isn't far away. But for these few minutes, the world seems peaceful, just the wide-open landscape, mother and daughter, and the wild horses that remind Lily of everything that was once free and unbroken in her life. Claire soon returns, cheeks flushed pink from the cold. She climbs into the driver's seat and blows into her gloves to warm her fingers. They seem healthy enough, she reports, voice breathless with exertion. But if that blizzard hits hard, it'll be tough for them. I'll try to organize more hay drops with the conservation team. Lily gazes past her mother's shoulder, watching Echo lead her foal away. She looks strong, Lily observes quietly. Claire nods. Yes, she does. Stronger than ever. There's a small note of admiration in her tone, perhaps, sensing how Echo's resilience mirrors her own. As the truck starts, she adds gently, ready to head back, yes, Lily whispers. She tries to commit Echo's image to memory, the proud tilt of the mare's head, the glint in her eyes. A fleeting wish crosses Lily's mind, if only she could be as brave as that silver Mustang, facing the storm without fear. Back at the farmhouse, they find Jasper in the kitchen, scanning the morning paper with a disapproving frown. His coffee sits untouched. Tommy hovers nearby, munching on a piece of toast, eyes flicking between the adults. There's an underlying tension in the air, like two opposing fronts of a weather system about to collide. Claire sets her notes down on the table. Saw the herd near Miller's Ridge, she says briskly. They're close to your north pasture, Jasper. He sets his paper down. Those Mustangs will do what they please. Always do. And if the local government has its way, we'll have to cull them or trap them. His gaze flicks pointedly at Claire. Course I know where you stand. Claire bristles but keeps her voice calm. We don't have to trap them, not with lethal force. If we coordinate with the sanctuary, we can relocate them humanely. Jasper's jaw tightens. That cost money, time, resources that we don't have in abundance, especially with a big storm on the way. Tommy, caught in the crossfire, speaks up hesitantly. Grandpa, is that the same herd that trampled our fence last year? Jasper nods. Yes, Tommy. Damaged the fence, spooked our cattle. Claire opens her mouth to respond, but stops herself upon noticing Lily, who stands near the door, looking small and unsure. Bringing the tension down, she changes the subject. Let's get some lunch. Then I'll make a few calls. Lily drifts away to the living room, where she sits on the couch, eyes downcast. She can hear the murmur of voices in the kitchen, Jasper's baritone, Claire's steadier tone. Occasionally, Tommy chimes in, asking a question about the Mustangs or the weather. Lily doesn't feel like joining the conversation. She's weary in a way she can't quite describe, as though all the snowfall has settled in her chest. After a time, Tommy emerges from the kitchen, carrying 2 plates of sandwiches. He sets one in front of Lily. Here, I made it with cheese and ham. Hope you like it. She mumbles a thank you and takes a small bite. The sandwich is surprisingly good, fresh bread, melted cheese, but she can't muster much enthusiasm. They eat in silence for a few minutes, with Tommy sneaking glances at her from time to time. Eventually, he speaks, voice tentative. So do you remember anything about my dad? His cheeks flush as soon as he asks, as though he's not sure if this is an appropriate subject. I mean, I know you were younger, but maybe... Lily's brows furrow. She tries to recall. A little. He used to ride out with your grandpa to check on the horses, didn't he? Tommy nods vigorously, eyes lighting up. Yeah. Grandpa said he was a good rider too. Then the accident happened. He trails off, looking down at the plate in his lap. Lily nods, her heart tightening. I'm sorry, Tommy shrugs, trying to appear indifferent. But a shadow passes over his face, loss, recognized, an old wound briefly exposed. He changes the subject quickly. Do you like living in the city? She shrugs. It's okay. Their conversation lapses into a thick silence again. For Lily, it's a small relief not to probe deeper into personal pain. For Tommy, it's a reminder that even though they share a kind of parallel grief, a gulf remains between them. He's envious of Lily for the media attention her father's story received, yet he also feels sympathy for her, understanding too well what it's like to lose a parent. The afternoon passes with a hazy stillness. The snowfall resumes, light at first swirling in thin sheets, then thickening as dusk approaches. Claire busies herself calling local conservation officers, trying to coordinate a rescue or relocation plan for the Mustangs if the storm grows too severe. Jasper busies himself in the barn, preparing the stalls, checking the feed supply, and ensuring everything is securely tied down. Tommy follows him, carrying tools and feed buckets, absorbing the older man's instructions. Lily, feeling restless, slips outside with Sadie at her side. The air bites at Lily's cheeks. She trudges through a thin layer of fresh snow behind the barn, where a small paddock is situated. 2 ranch horses stomp the ground inside, eager for their dinner. Lily moves closer, resting her gloved hand on the fence post. Sadie circles her feet, sniffing around, occasionally nuzzling Lily's leg for attention. A noise from the edge of the property draws Lily's attention, a soft, distant neigh. She squints, peering toward a cluster of bare aspens. For a moment, she thinks she sees movement, a flicker of silver among the branches. But then a gust of wind blows more snow into her face, obscuring her view. When she looks again, there's nothing but the pale trunks and falling flakes. Yet something in her heart clenches with anticipation, as if she knows Echo is nearby. She stares into the distance, a swirl of conflicting emotions surging through her. She doesn't fully understand why she feels this connection, only that it tugs at her like an invisible thread. Behind her, the barn door slams. Jasper steps out carrying a coil of rope. Tommy follows, pulling his coat collar tight against the cold. They both spot Lily. Best get inside, Jasper calls, though, not unkindly. Temperature's dropping. That storm's closing in. Lily nods reluctantly and turns away from the fence. Sadie follows at her heel. Despite the gathering darkness and the biting chill, a spark has been lit within her, a small, persistent curiosity about Echo and the gray foal that stands faithfully by her side. Night falls early, bringing the second wave of the storm with it. Snow accumulates in thick drifts, and the howling wind rattles the farmhouse windows. Inside, the Monroe and Walker families huddle around the fireplace. Logs crackle and pop, sending sparks up the chimney, while the flickering orange glow casts dancing shadows on the walls. Claire and Jasper exchange quiet updates about the weather warnings on the radio. Tommy sits on the rug fiddling with a puzzle while Lily is curled into a corner of the couch, reading from an old wildlife book she found on a bookshelf. Sadie dozes at Lily's feet, occasionally twitching in her sleep. Outside, the snowplows pass on the main road, their rumble muffled by the wind. The power has flickered twice but hasn't gone out yet. Still, everyone is on edge, remembering storms from years past, storms that sometimes stranded folks for days without electricity. Eventually, they drift off to their respective rooms. Lily, wrapped in a thick quilt, keeps her eyes on the window, watching the wild swirl of white. Sleep eludes her. She can't stop thinking about Echo, about the fleeting glimpse of the silver mare at the property's edge. A part of her wonders if she imagined it. Another part insists it was real. Hours slip by. The wind continues its unrelenting assault. At some point in the dead of night, Lily sits up, heart pounding, for reasons she can't articulate. The house is dark and silent, save for the distant creaking of floorboards and the soft hum of forced air heating. She senses an urge to get up, an unexplainable pull that beckons her outside. Slipping quietly from her bed, she dresses in her coat, scarf, and boots, taking care not to wake anyone. Sadie stirs from her spot on the rug by the bed, looking at Lily with ears perked. Lily presses a finger to her lips, silently telling the dog to stay put. But Sadie scrambles up anyway, tail wagging. Lily suspects she won't be able to leave Sadie behind, so she doesn't fight it. They tiptoe downstairs, the old steps groaning underfoot. Lily hesitates at the front door, her hand on the doorknob. A voice in her head reminds her of her mother's warnings, the danger of a storm, the risk of getting lost. Yet something stronger drives her forward, a longing that overshadows her fear. With a gentle twist, she unlocks the door and slips into the night. Outside, the wind cuts like a blade, and Lily's eyelashes are instantly dusted with frost. She grips the porch railing to steady herself. The scene is surreal, swirling snow illuminated only by moonlight, seeping through the cloud cover. Sadie barks once, then hushes, as if sensing the need for stealth. Lily steps off the porch and moves across the yard. Drifts reach nearly to her knees in places, and she lifts her feet carefully to avoid stumbling. She doesn't have a clear plan, just a feeling that Echo might be out here needing help or offering some kind of solace that Lily herself yearns for. She heads toward the barn first, but something makes her turn left away from the building. Her footprints lead a meandering path between fence posts guided by half-formed instinct. She thinks of her father and how he used to say that animals can speak in ways humans don't always understand. Maybe that's what's happening now, some unspoken call that beckons her into the heart of the storm. Sadie trudges beside her, occasionally shaking off snow from her coat. The dog seems both anxious and excited, her nose darting to sniff at the frigid air. Every now and then, a gust of wind nearly knocks Lily off balance, but she perseveres, setting one foot in front of the other. Minutes pass like hours. The farmhouse lights fade behind them, leaving only a dim silhouette in the swirling white. Lily's small figure presses on, scanning the darkness for any sign of a silver mare. She wonders if she's come too far. The cold is biting through her layers, and her teeth chatter so violently it's hard to keep her mouth closed. Fear creeps in, the fear of losing her way, in a blizzard of repeating the tragic mistake that claimed her father. Just when the tremors of doubt threaten to overpower her, she hears it, a low whinny carried on the wind. Her heart thumps. She adjusts her direction, following the sound. It echoes again, closer this time. Sadie's ears perk, and the dog lets out a short bark. Emerging from behind a cluster of pines, Lily sees a shape in the moonlit clearing, Echo standing regally, her silver coat shimmering with patches of snow. Beside her is the gray foal nuzzling its mother's flank, obviously shivering in the cold. Lily's breath catches in her throat. Echo's dark eyes lock onto Lily, neither fearful nor aggressive, just watchful as though recognizing her. For a moment the air seems to still, despite the storm. Lily is overwhelmed by a sense of awe, her heart drumming in her chest. She takes a slow step forward, burying her boots deeper in the drift. Sadie remains by her side, tail wagging gently. Echo snorts, releasing a cloud of vapor into the frosty air. The foal shifts nervously, uncertain of this small human and the dog. Lily lifts a gloved hand in a gesture of peace, as though to say, "I won't hurt you." A subtle, trembling thrill runs through her veins. She's never been this close to Echo, without her mother or other adults around. It feels like stepping into a dream. Gingerly, Lily creeps nearer. She notices a small wound on Echo's flank, perhaps a scrape from barbed wire or a run-in with something sharp. Blood mats the fur there, nearly frozen in the sub-zero temperature. Lily's eyes widen in concern. She doesn't have any bandages or first aid equipment, but she wishes she did. The mare stands stoic, ignoring the injury as best she can. Suddenly, a piercing gust of wind roars over the clearing, swirling snow into a miniature cyclone. Lily reflexively shields her face. When she looks up again, Echo and the foal have backed away, clearly unsettled by the storm's intensity. They whinny and Lily takes a step forward, calling out softly, "It's okay, I promise." But in that moment, the sky unleashes a heavier burst of snowfall, a near whiteout. Lily's visibility plummets and she stumbles, nearly losing her footing. Sadie barks frantically. Lily realizes with a spike of panic that she can barely see a few feet in front of her. The silver shape of Echo becomes a ghostly outline, then disappears entirely into the swirling white. The foal vanishes with her. Echo Lily calls, her voice swallowed by the howling wind. She tries to follow, but she can't see which way the Mustang went. She's alone in a raging storm, uncertain of which direction leads back to the farmhouse. Fear grips her. This is how it happened for Dad, she thinks, tears stinging her eyes. He was out in a blizzard and couldn't find his way. She calls for Sadie, but the dog's shape also vanishes in the swirling white. Sadie Lily yells, her voice ragged with terror. She hears only the wind in response. Panic swells like a living thing in her chest, each breath more labored than the last. Her rational mind screams that she must find shelter, but she's too disoriented to think clearly. Snow blinds her. The cold is creeping into her limbs, threatening to numb her fingers and toes. She twists around in desperate circles, trying to spot any landmark. Her foot hits a hidden rock and she goes down, landing awkwardly on her side. The impact knocks the wind from her lungs, leaving her gasping. For a second, she can't move, pinned by the shock of the fall and the weight of snow pressing against her. White flakes cling to her eyelashes, her hair, her clothing. She struggles to push herself up, tears mixing with the freezing air. In the chaos, she hears a faint bark. Sadie emerges from the swirling snow, bounding toward Lily. Relief surges through her, though it's brief and overshadowed by a deeper dread. She is hopelessly lost. She manages to stand, leaning on Sadie for balance. The dog whines softly as if urging Lily to follow. Lily hesitates, not sure if Sadie knows the way home, but lacking any better plan, she clings to the dog's collar. They trudge through the drifts, battered by the gale, hoping to reach safety. Minutes crawl by. Lily's sense of time dissolves in the white emptiness. She can feel her energy draining, each step more exhausting than the last. She tries to keep track of the direction of the wind or the slope of the land, but everything is a blur. Suddenly, Sadie lunges forward, barking at something Lily can't see. The dog's collar slips from Lily's grasp. Sadie Lily yells again, but the wind devours her voice. In another second, Sadie has vanished into the storm. Lily tries to follow, but slips again, arms flailing as she tumbles into a snowbank. Her eyes squeeze shut, heart pounding. In that moment, exhaustion and cold conspire to drag her under. She thinks of her mother, her father, the warm interior of the farmhouse, the silver mare glimmering in the moonlight. She wonders if this is how it ends, another tragedy on the snowy plains, just like her father's. A sob escapes her lips and she's too cold to feel its warmth. Darkness tugs at her vision. Meanwhile, back at the farmhouse, Claire stirs awake from a restless sleep. A glance at the clock shows it's well past midnight. Something feels wrong, an instinctive maternal alarm that pricks at her senses. She rolls over in bed, noticing Lily's absence. Lily, she calls softly, expecting to find her curled up somewhere in the room. But the space is empty. She throws off the covers and checks the hall. Nothing. A cold dread sinks into her stomach. Pulling on her robe, she hurries to Lily's bedroom. The bed is empty, blankets tossed aside. The window is slightly ajar. Claire's heart seizes with panic. She rushes to the staircase, nearly slipping in her haste. In the living room, she flicks on the lamp. Tommy appears at the top of the stairs, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Dr. Monroe. "What's going on?" he asks, voice thick with concern. "She's gone," Claire says, voice trembling. "Lily's gone." Tommy's eyes widen. He bolts down the stairs, following Claire to the front door. Jasper, alerted by the commotion, emerges from his room, pulling on a jacket. "What do you mean she's gone?" he demands, but the strain in his voice betrays his fear. Claire throws open the front door. The wind blasts her in the face, nearly toppling her backward. She lifts a hand to shield her eyes, peering out into the night. Snow slices horizontally across her field of vision. "Lily," she shouts, but the gale devours her voice. Sadie appears on the porch, fur matted with ice, barking frantically. Claire's stomach twists at the sight. If Sadie is here alone, it means Lily is out there somewhere in that blizzard, unprotected. She calls again, Lily, but no response comes. Jasper rushes to grab a flashlight from a closet. He shoves one into Claire's hand and thrusts another toward Tommy. The beams of light cut through the darkness, revealing only swirling snow and the faint outlines of fence posts. They can't venture far in these conditions without risking more lives. Claire feels the sting of tears on her cheeks, an anguish that grips her heart like a vice. "Mom," Tommy yells above the wind, panic in his young voice. "Over here, look." Claire swings the flashlight beam where Tommy is pointing. In the yard near the barn, they see chaotic footprints and dog tracks partially filled by fresh snow. More alarmingly, they see splashes of red staining the powder, a trail of blood leading away into the dark. Time seems to stand still. Claire's breath catches, and she feels her throat tighten with terror. Lily is out there, footprints vanishing by the second, and there's blood in the snow. She turns to Jasper, who looks equally stricken, though he masks it behind a grim scowl. "We have to find her." Claire manages, her voice trembling. "We have to go. Now." But as she steps forward, the wind intensifies, nearly lifting the hood off her head. Jasper grabs her arm to steady her. "We can't do much in this whiteout," he cautions, though his voice wavers. "We'll call the authorities, get search parties out. Going out alone now is suicide." Despair wrenches at Claire's chest. She pictures Lily, cold, hurt, scared, just like the night they lost her father. Her eyes squeeze shut as a sob escapes. She imagines the silver mare Echo out in the storm, and she clings to a flicker of hope. Echo had once been saved by Claire and had proven gentle in her time of need. Could it be that Echo found Lily? It's a desperate thought, but Claire has no choice but to cling to it. Tommy stands by, tears streaming down his cheeks. Jasper wraps an arm around his grandson, shining the flashlight futilely into the swirling dark. Sadie barks again, and Claire kneels, clutching the dog's fur, her voice breaking. "Where is she, girl? Where's Lily?" Sadie only whimpers, her eyes reflecting the same helplessness they all feel. Outside, the storm rages on, and the night seems endless. Claire's heart hammers in her chest as a single desperate thought runs through her mind. "Please, please, let my daughter be alive." Lily stumbles through drifts of snow nearly as high as her waist. The cold clutches at her small body, her gloved hands trembling violently from exhaustion and fear. Minutes earlier, she had lost sight of both Echo and Sadie. A freezing ache settles into her limbs, robbing her of the strength to press on. Falling to her knees, she shuts her eyes and imagines the warmth of the farmhouse, the flicker of the fireplace across the living room walls. Even that mental image starts to drift away, replaced by the numbing sting of the storm. A weak cough escapes her lips. She presses a hand to her chest, feeling the frantic pace of her heart. She tries calling out for help, but the wind drowns her voice. The urge to close her eyes is overwhelming, as if some part of her mind is telling her to give in, to drift into that final sleep. A silver silhouette. Then through the blur of swirling flakes, a dark shape materializes. At first, it's only a silhouette, large, powerful, moving, with an otherworldly calm through the storm. Lily blinks, breath catching in her throat. Another step closer, and moonlight catches the creature's coat, reflecting a muted silver. Echo. The mare's ears twitch at Lily's presence, and she approaches in careful, measured strides. Echo lets out a soft, rumbling nicker, stepping around Lily in a slow circle, as though assessing her condition. The mare's breath puffs in steamy clouds. Her dark eyes shine with uncanny intelligence. Then she lowers her head, sniffs Lily's hat, and nudges the girl's shoulder. Lily lifts her head, tears freezing on her cheeks. "Echo," she whispers, her voice almost lost beneath the gale. She reaches up a trembling hand, resting it against the mare's neck. Even through her glove, she can feel the pounding of Echo's heartbeat, strong and steady against her palm. A refuge in the dark. The silver mare moves alongside Lily, as though encouraging her to stand. Lily struggles upright, leaning into Echo's muscular flank. For a moment, Echo turns her head, ears pricked, scanning the darkness. Lily does the same, desperate for any sign of Sadie, but the dog is nowhere to be seen. Echo nudges Lily again, more insistently this time, then begins to walk. Unsure what else to do, Lily follows, clutching Echo's mane for support. The snow is up to her knees, but the mare breaks a path through the drifts with relative ease. Wind buffets them from all sides. Every step Lily takes is a fresh battle against the elements. She no longer knows what direction they're headed in, only that Echo moves with purpose. Occasionally Lily stumbles, nearly losing her grip on the mare's mane. Each time Echo slows, waits for her to regain footing, then resumes her trek. After what feels like an eternity, Lily spots a darker shape in the distance, a low rock formation, partially concealed by pines. The ground begins to slope upward, and the snow grows a little less deep beneath the trees. Echo presses on, leading Lily into the shelter of an outcropping. At the far side, a small opening gapes like a mouth in the rock. It's barely tall enough for the horse to enter, but Echo snorts and steps inside, ducking her head. Lily hesitates, peering into the darkness of what appears to be a shallow cave. A pang of dread mixes with relief. She doesn't want to lose Echo in this darkness, but she's also unnerved by the idea of crawling into a cramped enclosure. Then the wind howls again, reminding her of the lethal cold outside. Choosing the cave is no question at all. Pulling her hood tighter, Lily follows Echo's silver rump inside, feeling ice break off her clothing as she squeezes through the gap. The space beyond is surprisingly roomy enough for the mare to stand, and for Lily to move around without stooping too much. The walls are rough stone, damp in places, with a floor of packed earth partially covered by old pine needles. It smells of loam roots and the faint musk of animals that may have sheltered here before. Kindling warmth. Lily's teeth chatter loudly. She presses her back against the stone wall, hugging her arms around herself. Echo stands near the entrance, blocking some of the wind, her body acting as a barrier. For a moment, they both just breathe, letting the reality of temporary safety sink in. A soft nicker echoes deeper within the cavern. Lily peers into the shadows and sees the gray foal. He stands awkwardly on spindly legs, ears pinned back with worry. Lily gasps, realizing he's been there all along, waiting anxiously for his mother. The foal steps forward, sniffing Lily's boots before skittering back, uncertain. Echo emits a reassuring grunt. She lowers her head to lick the foal's muzzle, then turns her attention back to Lily. The child's lips are nearly blue, and her gloves are soaked. She recalls her mother's lessons about hypothermia, that if you can't get warm, you need to find insulation, kindling for fire, anything to generate heat. Her trembling hands fumble in her coat pocket. She'd taken a small box of matches from the kitchen back at the farmhouse, a habit gleaned from occasionally watching Claire light the fireplace. Sure enough, her fingers curl around the cardboard container, feeling the reassuring shape of a few remaining matches. They're not much, but might be enough to spark something. Her father had once shown her how to set up a small fire if ever lost outdoors. Shakily, she examines the cave floor. Most of it is cold dirt, partially frozen. But beneath the pine needles, there are bits of dry bark and small twigs that might serve as tinder. With numbed fingers, Lily gathers these scraps into a small pile near the center of the cave. She feels Echo's breath on her shoulder, as though the mare is watching curiously. "Please work," Lily whispers to herself. She strikes one match and it fizzles briefly before going out in the cold. Her heart seizes with panic. There can't be many matches left. She takes a slow breath, tries again. This time the small flame catches the edge of dry bark. Lily bends low, cupping her hand around the nascent fire, protecting it from any stray drafts. A thin, flickering flame rises from the tinder pile. Lily carefully feeds it more twigs and pieces of bark. Smoke wafts upward, but it's soon replaced by a stronger glow. The warmth that emanates is minimal, yet even that small heat is life-saving right now. Echo steps back slightly, letting Lily tend to the tiny fire. In the weak orange glow, Lily can see the foal trembling. His coat is damp, and he holds one hind leg gingerly, as though it's bothering him. Lily scoots closer, gently extending her hand. He flinches away at first, ears twitching. But Echo steps in, gives the foal a gentle nudge, almost as if to say, "It's all right, she helped us before." Lily breathes calmly, steadying her own racing heart. "You're okay," she murmurs, her voice husky from cold. "I won't hurt you." Gradually, the foal noses her palm. Lily notices a small gash near the foal's fetlock, likely from a jagged piece of ice or hidden debris in the snow. The sight tugs at her protective instincts. She removes her sopping gloves and, with shaking fingers, carefully checks the wound. It's not bleeding profusely, but it's definitely open to the elements. She glances at Echo, who watches with ears forward, clearly concerned. Lily remembers how her mother would handle such situations, gentle cleaning a makeshift bandage. Lacking proper supplies, Lily improvises. She takes off her scarf, tears a strip of fabric, and wraps it around the foal's lower leg to keep snow and dirt out. The foal snorts but doesn't pull away. When it's done, Lily collapses back onto the cave floor, shivering violently. The fire crackles softly, offering limited heat. Echo positions herself near Lily, turning slightly so that the mare's body helps shield the child from the worst drafts. It isn't perfect, but it's enough for Lily's eyes to drift closed, exhaustion overshadowing her fear. She draws in a shaky breath, leaning her head back against the stone, lulled by the subdued hiss of wind outside and the rhythmic sound of Echo breathing close by. Back at the farmhouse, no one sleeps. Claire paces the kitchen, phone in hand, trying to coordinate with local authorities. Her eyes are red from crying, and her hands tremble each time she reaches for a pen to jot down notes. Jasper stands by the door, peering out at the storm with grim resignation. Tommy hovers near the fireplace, arms crossed over his chest, his young face lined with worry. Sadie lies on the rug, her ears drooping, eyes darting toward the door, as if expecting Lily to burst through at any moment. The dog whines occasionally, then rests her muzzle on her paws in dejected silence. Well, Jasper demands seeing Claire hang up the phone. She turns to him, voice cracking. "The sheriff says it's too dangerous for any large-scale search at night. They can't see in this whiteout. He has a handful of volunteers on snowmobiles looking along the highway, but..." Her words trail off, and she can't hide the panic in her eyes. Jasper's expression softens momentarily. "We'll get a search party at first light," he says, though it's unclear if he's trying to reassure Claire or himself. "I'll head out with them. Tommy will stay here." He glances over at his grandson. Tommy wants to protest, he wants to help, but the look on Jasper's face tells him there's no point arguing. Instead, he silently returns his gaze to the glowing embers in the fireplace. "I hope she's okay," he murmurs, almost too quietly to be heard. Sadie whimpers, and Claire runs a hand through the dog's fur. "I know, girl," she whispers, tears welling in her eyes again. She can't help but think about the last time a rescue in a snowstorm ended in tragedy. Not again, she vows under her breath. A growing prejudice. As the night drags on without news, a dark thought festers in Jasper's mind. The blood they saw in the snow. The Mustangs roaming near the property. Had Lily encountered them? Had the silver mare or another Mustang spooked or attacked her? He tightens his jaw, unwilling to voice these fears in front of Claire, but they gnaw at him regardless. When dawn finally comes, pale and wan, with snow still falling softly, Jasper wastes no time. He pulls on a heavy coat, boots, and gloves. Claire, equally determined, insists on joining him, though her eyes burn from lack of sleep. Together they load up the pickup with extra blankets, a medical kit, and a thermos of hot coffee. Sadie tries to clamber in, but Claire gently pushes the dog back. "Stay here. If Lily finds her way home..." She can't finish the sentence. Tommy watches from the porch, biting his lip. "Be careful," he calls, voice trembling with worry. Jasper grunts in acknowledgement. Claire gives Tommy a tight nod and the truck rumbles away, disappearing into the snowy haze. Inside the cave, Lily stirs as a dull gray light filters through the entrance. The storm's rage has softened. Now it's a gentle snowfall that drifts across the threshold. Her body aches, stiff and cold, but alive. When she opens her eyes, the first thing she sees is Echo's massive shape, dozing lightly, head lowered. The foal stands nearby, nibbling at Lily's now extinguished tinder pile. Lily's breath escapes in a soft, frosty cloud. She rubs her eyes, momentarily disoriented, until she recalls the events of the night, venturing out alone, getting lost. Echo leading her to shelter. A flutter of amazement stirs in her chest. Somehow she survived. She notices the scarf around the foal's leg, now spotted with dried blood. "I'm sorry," she whispers, wanting to do more to help him. Her voice startles the foal, who backs away, ears flicking nervously. Echo lifts her head, gazing at Lily with an unblinking stare. Lily musters a small, trembling smile. "Thank you," she manages. Her words are simple, but the gratitude runs deep. First steps toward survival. A rumbling sound echoes from Lily's stomach hunger. She hasn't eaten since yesterday's hasty lunch. Instinctively, she scans the cave, searching for anything edible. There's nothing but bare rock and scattered pine needles. She recalls her father teaching her about winter survival, how some berries persist through the snow, how certain bark can be boiled for nutrients. It's not much, but it might keep her going until she can find help. Stepping outside, Lily braces herself for the chill. The snow drifts have grown taller around the cave entrance, but at least the wind has subsided to a soft moan. She trudges a short distance, scanning the area for any sign of movement, maybe a rescue party or footprints that haven't been erased. There's no one, only blank white hills dotted with the silhouettes of pines. Echo emerges behind her, the foal trailing. The mare's ears are perked, scanning the environment for threats. Lily wonders if they're thinking of returning to their herd. She wonders if Echo's presence is truly about saving Lily, or if it's just an accident of shared shelter. Then again, she reflects Echo could have left at any time, but she didn't. The search for water. Her father's lessons echo in her mind. If you can't find food right away, focus on water and warmth. She scoops up a handful of clean snow, pressing it to her lips. It's cold enough to make her teeth ache, but it's a start. She collects a bit more in a metal tin she finds in her coat pocket, something she'd used to store crayons, though most of them are gone now. With a little heat, she can melt the snow into drinkable water. Echo and the foal stamp the ground, sniffing for grass buried beneath ice. They paw at the earth near the edges of the cave, finding the occasional patch of frozen stubble. It won't fill their bellies, but it's something. Lily watches them, heart aching for their struggle. A way forward, resolved to keep the fire going. Lily gathers more dry sticks from beneath nearby pines. She's mindful of not straying too far from the cave, given the risk of losing her bearings again. When she returns, she relights the small pile of tinder with another precious match. The resulting flame is smaller than the previous night's, but still vital in chasing away the bitter cold. Crouched by the fire, Lily melts snow in her tin and sips the lukewarm water. She offers the rest to Echo in her cupped hands, but the mare only flicks an ear in mild interest. The foal, however, takes a few curious sniffs before stepping back. Time creeps by in a silence broken only by the crackle of flames and the hiss of the wind outside. Lily can almost feel her mother's voice in her head, reminding her to stay calm, to think of solutions. She wonders what Claire is doing now, surely organizing a search. She imagines her mother's anguish and guilt twist in her stomach. She whispers into the stillness, "I'm sorry, Mom." Morning drags into midday. Claire and Jasper have been driving back and forth along the outskirts of the valley, scanning for any sign of Lily's tracks. The snow is so deep, the drifts so vast that it feels impossible to find anything. In desperation, they follow a few half-faded footprints near a tree line, but they vanish into the open fields. At one point, they see Mustang hoofprints leading off toward the foothills, accompanied by other disturbances in the snow. Claire jumps from the truck, kneeling to examine the prints. Her heart rate quickens. "There's blood here," she says, pointing to a faint rust-colored patch. "And these look like Mustang tracks. Could be Echo's." A wave of dizziness overtakes her at the thought that Lily might have encountered the mare under what circumstances she can only guess. Jasper's face is stony. Could be the horse that hurt Lily. We don't know. Claire snaps her head up. Echo would never. How do you know his voice is tight, the memory of losing his son to a horse-related accident fueling his anger? They're wild animals. Anything can happen. Claire fights tears as frustration flares in her chest. I've worked with these horses for years, Jasper. If Lily's out there, it's not because a horse attacked her. She wouldn't have gone out so far otherwise. He shakes his head, refusing to yield. You think you know them so well, but you can't control them. She meets his gaze, matching his intensity. I'm not trying to control them. I'm trying to protect them. There's a difference. And right now, all I care about is finding my daughter. Jasper exhales, the anger deflating somewhat. Let's keep looking. They climb back into the truck, driving slowly across the farmland. A few times, Claire rolls down the window, calling Lily's name through a handheld speaker. The speaker crackles back with only static in the rush of wind. Each unanswered call tightens the knot in Claire's throat. Tommy's discovery. Meanwhile, Tommy can't stand waiting at home. With Sadie by his side, he quietly slips out of the house after ensuring he's dressed in every layer he can find. He doesn't try to steal the truck, he's only 10 after all, but he decides to search the barn and nearby fields on foot, convinced he might find some clue the adults missed. Plunging through the drifts, he checks the barn first. Nothing amiss there. He calls out for Lily, though it seems pointless. If she were near the barn, she would have answered. Sadie trots ahead, sniffing at every fence post. The storm's intensity has dwindled, but the air is still frigid, and his breath forms clouds around his face. He circles around to the far side of the property. Jasper rarely lets him roam this area alone, because it's closer to where the Mustangs sometimes pass by. The fence line is old with several rickety posts, but the boys determine. Maybe Lily came this way. Beneath a broken pine branch, Tommy notices a patch of disturbed snow. He crouches, brushing it aside to reveal what looks like a snare, a small half-buried trap. His eyes widen, stomach twisting. Grandpa set out traps for the Mustangs. That realization shocks him, though it doesn't fully surprise him. He's heard Jasper rant about the horses many times. Still, the sight of an actual metal snare triggers a mix of fear and anger. Sadie sniffs at the device, then whines. Tommy stares at it, uncertain what to do. His father had been comfortable around animals. Would he have approved of these traps? Tommy shakes his head, letting the question hang. Right now, he needs to keep searching for Lily. Yet the presence of these traps plants a seed of doubt in Tommy's mind. What if Lily is stuck in one of them? Or what if a wounded Mustang is out there and Lily tried to help it? The possibilities churn uncomfortably in his chest. He swallows hard, pushing deeper into the snowy field, calling Lily's name. Oniriana. Back at the rocky shelter, Lily's small fire has died to glowing embers. Her fingers remain stiff with cold, and every muscle in her body aches. Yet she musters courage to explore beyond the immediate vicinity. She can't stay in the cave forever. If she does, hunger and cold will eventually claim her. Echo stands outside, ears pricked as though sensing Lily's intention to leave. The foal leans against its mother's flank, favoring the bandaged leg. Lily gingerly pats the foal's neck, murmuring apologies for the limited help she can offer. She walks a few dozen yards away, scanning the surroundings for anything edible. Beneath the shelter of pine branches, she spots a cluster of red berries, a variety that her father had once pointed out as edible if desperate. She recalls his exact words. They're not tasty, but they won't poison you. She plucks a handful, brushing off snow, then lifts them to her mouth. They're bitter acidic, but she forces herself to swallow, ignoring the protest of her empty stomach. The midday sun is a pale disk in the sky, offering minimal warmth. She continues gathering berries and finds a few more small patches, stowing them in her pockets. As she does, Echo sidles closer, rummaging through the snow with her muzzle occasionally biting at withered grass. The foal attempts to mimic her. Uneasy companions. Though Lily and the horses are together, their companionship is fragile, rooted more in mutual need than anything else. Lily wonders if Echo senses that Lily once helped her in a moment of vulnerability. The mare's calm eyes betray no overt aggression, just guarded caution. Likewise, Lily harbors a quiet awe for the Mustang, grateful for the shelter Echo provided, uncertain if the relationship will last. The afternoon drags on with no sign of rescue. Lily walks a bit farther, searching in vain for footprints or tire tracks, but the unbroken snowscape mocks her efforts. A knot of fear twists in her stomach. She tries to keep her mind on survival tasks, remembering her father's advice. One step at a time, one problem at a time. Right now it's food, water, and shelter. Next might be finding a path home. Returning to the cave, Lily shares a few berries with Echo's foal, who sniffs them warily before giving them a tentative lick. Lily can't help a small smile. Even the simplest moment of trust feels monumental out here. Nightfall and the wolves' dusk comes all too soon, the sky shifting to a bruised purple. Lily rebuilds the fire using the last of her matches, determined to keep a source of warmth through another frigid night. In the flickering glow, Echo and her foal settle again at the cave entrance. Lily curls up on the ground, hugging herself for heat. Her exhaustion runs bone deep, but fear keeps her from fully resting. Every little sound outside, the rustle of wind through pine needles, the crunch of settling snow, sends a jolt of adrenaline through her. She worries about coyotes or mountain lions, but that's all overshadowed when a distant haunting howl echoes across the silent wilderness. Lily's blood runs cold. She sits up, heart pounding. Another howl joins the first, then another, weaving an eerie chorus that sets every nerve on edge. Wolves. She glances at Echo, whose ears snap upright. The mare tenses and the foal lifts his head, trembling. For a long time the howls remain distant, in otherworldly lament. But as the minutes pass, the sound draws closer, drifting through the pines. Lily's breath hitches in her throat. Wolves rarely attack humans unprovoked, she recalls her mother saying. But with the deep snow and limited prey, desperation could push them to act. The unseen threat, instinctively Lily drags a sizable branch into the fire, hoping to create a stronger flame. She wants the wolves to see the fire and shy away. The light flickers on the cave walls, casting dancing shadows that make everything look bigger and more menacing. Echo shifts restlessly, and the foal presses tight against his mother's side. Lily positions herself near the opening, clutching a makeshift torch, just another branch, with a flame licking at the end, though she knows it won't last long. Her heart hammers so loudly she wonders if the horses can hear it. A low growl reverberates from somewhere beyond the tree line. Lily can't see anything past the blazing glow, but she can sense movement, shapes weaving between the trunks. She forces herself to stand, knees shaking. She's only a 9-year-old girl armed with a burning stick and a dwindling fire against a pack of wolves. Yet some stubborn part of her refuses to let fear consume her. The first wolf appears in the dim perimeter of the firelight, eyes reflecting an orange glimmer. It stands motionless, nose lifted to catch the scent of horse and human. Lily's breath catches. She waves the torch in a wide arc, hoping to discourage it. The wolf recoils slightly, ears flattening, but doesn't flee. Then another pair of glowing eyes emerges from the side, creeping forward. Echo paws the ground, tail swishing anxiously. She lets out a warning snort, stomping her hoof in the snow. The foal huddles close, letting out a soft, frightened nicker. Holding the line. The wolves move in a wide semicircle, testing for weakness. Lily's mind races. If they rush, she can't defend both herself and the horses. She thinks of her father's words, "Make yourself loud and big." Summoning courage from somewhere deep, she lets out a shaky yell. It's not very loud, but it's something. "Go away," she cries, brandishing the torch. The flame sputters, threatening to go out. One wolf snarls, inching closer. Lily hears the snapping of jaws, the guttural growl of a predator emboldened by hunger. Suddenly, Echo charges forward, ears pinned back, hooves pounding. Her movement is abrupt and violent, as if she's decided to fight for her foal, no matter the cost. The nearest wolf yelps, darting aside to avoid a strike from the mare's front legs. Hooves slash through the air, connecting with a burst of snow. Another wolf attempts to flank Echo, but Lily rushes at it, flailing the torch. She feels panic claw at her throat as the wolf bares its teeth, an unearthly snarl echoing in the night air. Somehow the combined ferocity of Lily's torch waving and Echo's defensive charges keeps the wolves from closing in completely. For agonizing seconds, it's a standoff, the pack circles snarling and snapping, while Lily and Echo maintain a desperate defense. The foal tries to stay behind its mother, letting out terrified whinnies. A final push, one particularly bold wolf lunges at Echo's flank. Echo reacts with a powerful kick. The wolf scrambles back with a high-pitched yipe. Lily screams, fear morphing into a surge of adrenaline. She rushes forward, brandishing her torch so wildly that sparks fly. The sight of open flame momentarily startles the wolves. They scatter, forming a loose ring outside the fire's reach. Lily breathes hard, her breath ragged clouds in the cold air. In the next instant, she hears snarls turning to whimpers. The wolves sense the risk may not be worth the potential meal. One by one, they melt back into the shadows until only the reflection of their eyes remains among the trees. Then even that vanishes. The night air goes still again, except for the labored breathing of Lily and Echo. The child collapses to her knees, tears freezing on her lashes. Echo snorts repeatedly, her coat lathered with sweat despite the cold. The foal stands trembling but alive. We did it. Lily manages, though she's not entirely sure how. She's exhausted down to her bones, but relief and gratitude swell inside her. She extends a trembling hand to Echo, who lowers her head. For a moment their eyes meet. The bond formed in the face of mortal danger is something neither can fully comprehend, yet it's undeniably there. Dawn breaks with a fragile calm. The cave stands in relative silence, the fire reduced to faint embers. Lily's mind drifts in and out of uneasy sleep, haunted by dreams of wolves and swirling snow. Yet with the first rays of daylight, a renewed sense of determination stirs in her heart. She survived another night. Somehow that reality feels miraculous. Echo and the foal doze near the entrance, ears perked for any sign of danger. Lily stretches stiff muscles, wincing at aches from head to toe. She glances down at her meager supplies, an empty matchbox, a few leftover berries and scraps of bark. The pang of hunger gnaws at her belly sharper than ever. She knows she can't keep living like this. If rescue doesn't come soon, she'll have to find her own way back. Seeking a way home, after feeding the fire its last bits of fuel, pine needles, twigs, anything flammable, Lily makes a quiet decision. She won't wait here any longer. If she stays, she risks encountering the wolves again, or simply wasting away from hunger and cold. She steps outside, finding the day relatively clear compared to the previous storm. The snowfall is lighter, though it still drifts from ashen clouds overhead. She can see the contours of the valley now, the slope of hills leading toward what might be farmland in the distance. Echo emerges with her, the foal limping slightly but determined to follow his mother. Lily turns to the mare. "I need to go," she says, as if Echo could understand. Then hesitant, she gestures toward the open wilderness. "Home." Echo lifts her head, ears flicking. The mare seems to consider the child's words, but Lily knows it could just be her own imagination assigning meaning to Echo's posture. Without a guarantee the horse will come, Lily begins to walk. A quiet companion. To her surprise, Echo and the foal trail after her. The hoof prints they leave in the snow are deep, providing Lily with a slightly easier path to step into. The valley stretches wide before them, silent except for distant caws of crows. Lily's breath forms a steady rhythm of clouds, and she trudges onward, scanning the horizon for a familiar landmark. Maybe the silhouette of a barn or a stand of trees near the farmhouse. Hours seem to pass, or maybe it's just the slow toll of fatigue. Lily's mind drifts between memories of her father and mother, half-formed hopes that rescue will appear any moment, and an abiding reverence for the Mustang at her side. The constant hunger saps her energy, but she pushes forward. At one point, Echo moves ahead of Lily, sniffs the air, then changes direction slightly. Lily wonders if the mare senses something, water better grazing, or perhaps the intangible direction of the rest of her herd. Lily follows, trusting Echo's instincts more than her own guesswork. The snare. They skirt the edge of a frozen creek, the ice cracking ominously in places. Lily steps carefully, avoiding thin patches. Echo leads them uphill toward a cluster of shrubs where the foal can nibble at withered leaves. Lily decides to rest against a tree trunk, knees wobbling with exhaustion. Suddenly, a sharp metallic snap rings out, followed by a high-pitched squeal of pain. Lily jumps to her feet, heart lurching. Echo whips around, ears pinned back. The foal thrashes nearby, one of his hind legs caught in a hidden snare. The more he struggles, the tighter it seems to clamp, threatening to cut deeper into his already wounded leg. A surge of horror and helplessness rushes over Lily. She darts forward, ignoring the danger of a terrified young horse. Echo stamps nervously but doesn't push Lily away, perhaps recognizing that the girl is trying to help. Lily drops to her knees, fumbling at the cruel metal trap. Tears sting her eyes as she sees fresh blood staining the makeshift bandage she had wrapped days earlier. She tries to pry the jaws of the snare open with her bare hands, but her fingers are too numb and weak. The foal kicks and whimpers in pain, nearly striking Lily in the process. Desperate Lily looks around for a stick or rock to leverage the trap's release mechanism. She spots a sturdy branch and wedges it into the metal clamp, pushing with all her might. Sweat beads on her forehead despite the cold. Finally, with a groan of metal, the snare loosens. Lily grabs the foal's leg, pulling it free. The young horse collapses onto the ground sides, heaving. Echo lowers her muzzle, nickering anxiously at her foal. Lily throws the trap aside with a grunt of disgust. She sees a small weathered tag on the device JW letters that she vaguely recognizes as the initials for Jasper Walker. Confusion churns in her mind. Why would Tommy's grandfather set something like this? Her mother said the town was considering culls or traps for Mustangs, but Lily never imagined something so brutal. Anger mingles with relief as she checks the foal's leg, which is bleeding again, but not broken. Still, the injury is worse now. The bandage is torn, flesh pinched red and raw. Lily tears another strip from her coat lining. She presses it against the wound, trying to slow the bleeding. Echo stands, watch nostrils flaring with each exhalation. The moment is tense, overshadowed by the threat that the foal might not recover from this second injury. A sudden observer. In the midst of this chaotic rescue, Lily hears a crunch of snow behind her. She tenses, worried about wolves again. But when she turns, she sees Tommy Walker standing there, eyes wide, Sadie at his side. The dog bounds forward, barking excitedly at the sight of Lily. Tommy calls, breath puffing around his face. Relief washes over him, followed by immediate confusion at the sight of the ensnared foal. "Are you okay?" What happened?" Lily keeps a protective hand on the foal, who lays panting in the snow. She meets Tommy's gaze, tears welling up. "He got caught in your grandfather's trap," she says, voice trembling with anger. "Help me, please." Tommy's face pales. He crouches carefully, positioning himself near the foal's rear flank, mindful not to spook Echo. "I didn't know Grandpa set these. I saw one near the barn, but I didn't think—" He trails off, guilt evident in his eyes. Working together, the two children secure a fresh bandage on the foal's leg. Lily directs Tommy to put pressure on the wound while she ties the fabric. Echo snorts and stamps but doesn't interfere, as if sensing their benevolent intention. Sadie circles nervously, whining at the metallic scent of blood. Trust and friendship in crisis. When they finish, Lily leans back, breathing heavily. She glances at Tommy, who seems both relieved and shaken. "How did you find us?" she asks, voice hoarse. Tommy shrugs, cheeks flushed from cold and embarrassment. "I snuck out to look for you. My grandpa and your mom went searching in the truck, but I couldn't wait. I followed some tracks. Then I heard the foal cry out." Lily's jaw trembles, overcome by gratitude and 100 other emotions. "Thank you." Tommy nods silently, his eyes flicking to Echo. The mare stands tall, ears angled forward, eyeing him warily. Is that the Mustang your mom saved?" once he asks, recalling the story he overheard. "Yes, that's Echo, and this is her foal. They saved me." Lily pauses, feeling the weight of truth behind her words. "I was lost in the storm. Echo led me to a cave. She kept me warm. They protected me from wolves." Tommy's brow creases in wonder, as though he's struggling to reconcile these facts with everything he's heard from his grandfather about Mustangs being dangerous pests. He looks at the wounded foal, at Lily's ragged appearance. "You almost died out here." Lily nods, tears threatening to spill. She feels the cold sink back into her bones, exhaustion swirling in her mind now that the adrenaline is ebbing. "We have to get back," she says shakily. "I need to find my mom." Tommy helps Lily stand. Sadie nuzzles Lily's handtail, wagging so hard it shakes her entire hindquarters. Lily allows herself a fleeting smile, grateful to see the dog safe. Then her eyes return to Echo and the foal. "Will they be okay?" Tommy asks, noticing the mare's tense posture, her protective stance over the injured foal. I don't know," Lily admits. "He needs better care than I can give out here. And if the storm gets worse again—" She shudders at the thought. They exchange a glance. Neither is sure how to proceed. The Mustangs can't easily be led back to the farmhouse like domesticated horses. Yet leaving them here with traps still scattered around feels wrong, especially to Tommy, who has just witnessed the brutal outcome of one such device. A shared decision. Tommy gestures toward a faint path through the trees. I think that way leads closer to the road. If we can get there, maybe we'll run into my grandpa or your mom. Lily nods. Echo might follow if we go slow, she reasons, looking at the injured foal. They're not going to leave him behind. And so they set out, forging a slow path through the snow, Lily leaning on Tommy for support, the foal limping beside Echo. Sadie prances ahead as if proud to be leading the way. It's not an easy trek. The foal struggles with each step, wincing and stumbling. Echo nudges him forward occasionally, turning to Lily with an almost pleading gaze as though acknowledging Lily's earlier help. They finally reach a broader clearing near a back road. In the distance, Lily can make out what might be the silhouette of a vehicle. Her heart leaps, rescue is near. She wants to run, but her body refuses. She collapses to her knees, exhausted. Tommy kneels beside her, an arm around her shoulders. From the opposite side of the clearing, Claire and Jasper appear on foot, having left the truck on the roadside to search the area. The moment Claire sees Lily, she lets out a cry, sprinting across the snow. Jasper follows, face etched with a mixture of relief and shock. Lily, oh my God, Lily, Claire calls, voice cracking. She drops to her knees and gathers her daughter in her arms, tears streaming down her cheeks. Lily clings to her mother, sobbing. Mom. I'm sorry, Lily manages through chattering teeth. I'm sorry. Claire holds her tight, brushing hair from Lily's face. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Her eyes track over Lily's appearance. Bruises, ragged clothing, exhausted features. Anguish and relief pour through her in equal measure. Jasper arrives a second later, panting, and his gaze falls on Tommy. You okay, boy? He asks, voice gruff with worry. Tommy nods breathlessly. Yeah, Grandpa, I found her. He glances at the Mustangs who linger just at the clearing's edge. Echo stands tall, the foal trembling at her side, blood staining the makeshift bandage. Claire notices the mare and stiffens. Her mind replays the scene of blood in the snow, the fear that Echo might have hurt Lily. She instinctively places herself between Lily and the Mustang protective. Stay back, she warns, her voice taut with alarm. Lily's reaction is immediate, fervent. She pulls away from Claire, turning toward Echo. No, Echo didn't hurt me. She saved me. Her voice is raw but determined. She led me to shelter, Mom. She protected me. Claire falters, confusion warring with her fear. Echo paws the ground, uncertain of this reunion. The foal tries to limp forward but stumbles. Lily sees the movement and points. He's hurt. He got caught in a trap. He needs help. Jasper's mouth sets in a grim line. You're telling me that wild horse saved you? He steps closer, scanning the foal's injury. When his eyes land on the trap's metal jaw lying in the snow marked with JW color drains from his face, he knows it belongs to him. I didn't mean for it to catch a foal, he mutters, wrestling with shame and residual anger toward the Mustangs. A public confrontation. Before any more words can be exchanged, headlights cut through the gloom. A pair of snowmobiles approach part of the local search party, possibly with a few media reporters who jumped at the story of a missing girl. They fan out at the edge of the clearing. One of the riders removes his helmet, revealing a local journalist's anxious face. What's happening here? The journalist calls, trudging through the snow with a camera in hand. He sees Lily, battered, but alive, sees the Mustangs, and his eyes widen. Others follow, including a couple of uniformed officers, the local sheriff among them. Claire doesn't want to turn this moment into a spectacle, but she can't stop the attention. The sheriff steps forward. We heard the child was found alive. Thank God. Is everyone okay? He glances at Lily's pale face, then at the trembling foal. Yes, Claire manages, still struggling to make sense of everything. But the foal is injured. We need veterinary supplies. A flurry of motion ensues. The officers radio for a wildlife officer on standby. Someone offers a first aid kit from a snowmobile. Lily and Tommy scramble aside to make room for Claire, who kneels near the foal, carefully checking the leg. Her voice trembles with concern. It's deep. We might need stitches. Or at least proper antibiotics. One of the camera operators edges closer. Is this one of the Mustangs that's been causing trouble? He asks, glancing at Jasper. Jasper stiffens. He glances at the trap's jaws in the snow and seems momentarily lost for words. The entire clearing grows quiet, the tension palpable. Tommy steps forward, voice quivering with a sudden surge of confidence. This Mustang just saved Lily's life. Lily would have frozen if Echo hadn't helped her. He fixes his grandfather with a determined look. They're not the bad guys. A murmur passes through the crowd. The journalist snaps a few photos, capturing the mare standing guard over her foal. Claire picks up on the disbelief in some faces. She recognizes the significance of this moment. Public sentiment could shift if they realize a Mustang actually saved a child. Lily's plea. Lily presses a shaking hand against Echo's neck, tears spilling down her face. She's not dangerous, Lily says, voice shaky but resolute. You saved her once, Mom. She saved me now. Please, help her baby. Claire's eyes brim with tears. She recalls the day she helped deliver Echo's foal, how she'd felt the pulse of new life thrumming under her hands. Now that same foal is in danger again, and her own daughter owes her survival to Echo's grace. Her heart squeezes with overwhelming emotion. She looks at Jasper, who meets her gaze. His jaw works as if he's chewing on 1,000 unspoken regrets. I was wrong, he mumbles finally, though the words come out haltingly. He turns to the sheriff and the small group of onlookers. I'll pull every trap I set. No more of this. No more. A hush falls, broken only by the ragged breath of the foal and the distant hum of a camera lens. The sheriff nods in approval. The journalist scribbles notes. Claire lifts her head, relief and gratitude washing over her, even as her immediate focus remains on the injured foal. A harsh reminder of reality. But not everyone is swayed. A wildlife officer who arrives moments later scans the scene, arms crossed. We're still mandated to manage the Mustang population, he says, throwing a glance at Claire. This is a delicate ecosystem, and these horses can do a lot of damage. Claire bristles. But before she can retort, Lily's voice breaks in once more. They're alive, she insists, tears on her cheeks. They're family to each other just like we are. Why can't we make room for them? Her simple plea resonates. An uneasy silence ensues among the adults. The officer's expression softens slightly, though he doesn't fully relent. He merely radios in for a vet technician to come with the proper medical supplies. In the meantime, Claire does what she can to stabilize the foal, cleaning the wound, applying a sterile bandage from the first aid kit. Echo stands so close that Claire can feel the mare's breath on her back. It's a delicate procedure fraught with the tension of a wild horse hovering over a human. But Echo allows it as though she understands that Claire is there to help. The makeshift roadside gathering disperses in small waves. Search party members depart on snowmobiles. Journalists hurry back to file their urgent, captivating story, and curious onlookers whisper about the wild horse that saved a child. Through it all, Dr. Claire Monroe remains close to Echo's injured foal, determined to keep him stable. With dusk settling, the group agrees that fully treating the foal on site is impossible. The best they can do is transport him to a secure facility, a process complicated by the Mustang mother's watchful presence. Jasper Walker, shoulders squared against the cold, helps Claire retrieve a sturdy livestock trailer from his truck. It's not ideal for wild horses, but it's the only immediate option. Lily sits hunched on the tailgate, wrapped in 2 oversized blankets. Her face is streaked with soot and dried tears, hair tangled from wind and snow. She watches anxiously, resisting every motherly attempt to coax her into the warmth of the truck's cab. We need to get you home, Claire says softly, crouching beside her daughter. The lines of worry on Claire's face have deepened in the last few hours. Dark circles frame her eyes and her voice strains with exhaustion. Yet behind that fatigue glows the fierce love of a mother who just found her child after a nightmare. Lily's gaze flicks to Echo and the foal. The mother mare stamps nervously at the sight of the trailer. Several volunteers and wildlife officers stand by, uncertain how to load a wild horse who shows no intention of leaving her baby's side. But Echo, her foal. Lily's voice falters. She bites her chapped lower lip. I want to stay. Claire brushes Lily's hair back. He'll be okay. I promise I'll do everything I can to help. But you need rest, sweetheart. A short distance away, Tommy Walker hovers next to his grandfather. The boy's cheeks are red from the cold and worry pinches his features. Sadie, the faithful dog, stands at Lily's feet, tail thumping against the truck as if mirroring her anxiety. Tommy can't seem to take his eyes off the injured foal. "Grandpa," he says quietly, tugging at Jasper's coat sleeve. "That trap was ours, wasn't it?" Jasper exhales as though each breath is weighed down by guilt. "I set them," he admits, a voice low enough that most others can't overhear. "I thought I was protecting our land from the Mustangs." He glances around at the battered silver mare, at the foal's trembling stance, then at Lily wrapped in blankets. Didn't realize, didn't think it would come to this. Tommy offers a hesitant nod, his eyes flicking between Lily and the horses. He's torn between the deep-rooted family resentment toward Mustangs and the awe he feels witnessing the bond between Lily and Echo. Loading the foal, two conservation officers move toward the foal, carrying a collapsible stretcher. Claire steps in, instructing them on how to keep the young horse calm. Echo lets out a low nicker, shifting anxiously, eyes never leaving her foal. Lily stands up despite Claire's admonitions, stepping toward Echo. "It's okay," Lily murmurs, voice trembling, with equal parts exhaustion and resolve. She reaches a small hand toward the mare's muzzle. Echo's breath clouds in the frigid air, but she doesn't shy away from Lily. Instead, Echo presses her nose against the girl's palm, as though acknowledging the silent reassurance. Encouraged by Lily's presence, the foal allows the officers to slip the stretcher under its body. The creature's sides heave with fright and pain, legs shuddering. Claire offers quiet words of instruction, gently guiding the process. Jasper helps hold the stretcher, steady face drawn in concentration. Once the foal is secure, the small group maneuvers it carefully into the open trailer. Echo follows, stepping in with a snort, pinning her ears for a moment at the unfamiliar metal enclosure. She hesitates on the ramp, trembling not from cold, but from protective instinct. Lily remains, close eyes brimming with concern. Slowly, the mare relents and enters the trailer beside her foal. The door closes. Echo stamps and whinnies, the trailer rattling. Lily's heart clenches at the sound. She imagines how terrifying this must be for a wild horse used to the wide-open spaces of the valley. Yet it's the only way to treat the foal's serious wound. Claire places an arm around Lily's shoulders. "We'll drive slowly to the local stable. The veterinarian from the wildlife department will meet us there with better equipment." With tears threatening, Lily nods. She climbs into the passenger seat of Jasper's truck, where Tommy's already waiting in the back. Sadie jumps in after her. Jasper starts the engine, hooking the trailer behind them, while Claire follows in another vehicle with the officers. Softly, Lily whispers to the sleeping dog in her lap, "Please let him be okay. Please." Sadie's tail wags once, as though offering comfort. They arrive at a local stable used for boarding horses just outside the main stretch of Valley Forge. The building is a long rectangular structure, its red paint chipped and faded by countless storms. A single light illuminates the entrance, reflecting on patches of ice. Inside, the smell of hay and animal musk envelops them. Claire's professional instincts kick in as soon as she steps through the stable doors. She organizes a clean stall filled with dry bedding, helps the wildlife vet set up an IV line, and lays out antiseptics for the foal's wound. Echo paces anxiously outside the stall, separated by a temporary partition. Her ears flick at every human sound. Jasper and Tommy linger at a distance, feeling out of place in this environment of medical urgency. Lily, however, stands close by, arms hugged around herself, eyes darting from the foal to her mother. She tries to stay out of the way, remembering Claire's instructions. At one point, the wildlife vet, a middle-aged woman named Dr. Patel, turns to Lily with a warm but tired smile. "You must be Lily. I heard you're the brave girl this foal helped." Lily nods shyly, unsure how to respond. Dr. Patel glances at Claire, then back at Lily. "He's lucky to have you looking out for him. Now let's see if we can get him patched up for good." Lily manages a small, grateful smile, though worry lingers in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispers. A private word with Jasper. At the other end of the stable, Jasper leans against a wooden post, arms folded. He watches the bustle of activity as the vet staff moves back and forth. Claire, pulling off blood-stained gloves, takes a moment to approach him. The two stand in the dim corridor, the stable's overhead lights casting long shadows on the straw-covered floor. Claire's voice is hushed, tinged with exhaustion. "Thank you for helping. Truly." Jasper nods stiffly, eyes fixed on the ground. "I'm just glad Lily's safe." A pause stretches between them, heavy with unspoken regrets. Finally, Claire musters the courage to address the subject they've both been skirting. I know you resent these Mustangs, but Jasper, they're not your enemy. He lifts his gaze and she sees conflicting emotions churning in his weathered features. I lost my son to a horse. Not a Mustang, maybe, but it don't matter. He swallows hard words coming slow. Ever since I see horses, I see heartbreak. Claire's expression softens with compassion. I understand heartbreak. I lost my husband in a snowstorm out here, but I also know these Mustangs are part of the land he loved. My calling is to protect them. And Lily, her voice catches. Lily needed echo. She owes her life to that mare. Jasper's gaze flickers. Perhaps the reality of Lily's survival, thanks to a wild horse, conflicts with the painful memory he's harbored for so long. Eventually he exhales, glancing toward the stall where the foal is being treated. I'm starting to see that. Tommy's guilt and resolve. Meanwhile, Tommy stands near a stack of hay bales, face drawn. Lily approaches, picking her way through the straw. The stable feels warmer than the outdoors, but not by much. Her breath still puffs faintly in the lamplight. Hey, she says softly. Tommy rubs his hands together, avoiding her eyes. Hey, thank you for finding me. Lily continues, voice trembling with gratitude. I would have been lost out there if you hadn't come. Tommy forces a shrug, though emotion tightens his throat. I was just following tracks. A quiet moment passes, broken only by the distant snort of Echo. You're brave, Lily insists, stepping closer. I know we haven't really been friends before, but you came after me even though it was dangerous. Tommy finally meets her gaze, a flicker of something like relief in his eyes. I was scared, he admits. Scared you'd freeze or that I'd find you. Too late. And I was scared because he hesitates, exhaling raggedly. Grandpa always talked about how these horses were dangerous. But then I saw that foal trapped. I saw how you were trying to help it. And I knew it wasn't the Mustangs that were the problem. Lily nods, tears brimming. It's hard when grown-ups tell us one thing, and then we see something different with our own eyes. Tommy tries to smile, though it wavers. I don't know if Grandpa will ever really change, but I think maybe he's trying, especially after seeing Echo tonight. Lily clasps her hands, raw gratitude and relief washing over her. We can all help, she suggests, voice small, but determined. We can show people that Mustangs aren't monsters. They're just wild. With that simple statement, the two children share a gentle look of understanding, both shaped by tragedy, both longing for healing, both unwilling to let the cycle of fear continue. Over the next few days, Valley Forge buzzes with talk of Lily's rescue and the role of the Silver Mustang. Some folks remain skeptical, older ranchers mutter about property damage and question the story of a wild horse acting heroically. Others, stirred by the local news coverage, express awe and curiosity. The rumor mill churns out contradictory tales that the Mustang was a gentle guardian, that it was a freak coincidence, that the horse still poses a threat, that Lily is just a confused child. Amid this swirl, the immediate concern remains the foal's recovery. He's stabilized under Dr. Patel's care, though he still can't bear full weight on the injured leg. Echo is housed in a separate stall right beside him, fractious and uneasy in captivity. She paces, whinnying for her herd, forcing the stable staff to work cautiously. Claire, supported by a small group of volunteers, arrives daily to assist with the foal's bandage changes and gentle physiotherapy. Lily comes whenever she's allowed, standing quietly beside Echo to offer the mare an apple or carrot, which she sometimes takes warily from the girl's hand. Their bond, born of shared adversity, seems to hold. The media angle reporters from local outlets and even a regional news channel show up at the stable. They scramble for footage of Lily stroking Echo's muzzle or glimpses of the young bandaged foal hobbling around. Claire keeps Lily away from the cameras as much as possible, unwilling to subject her daughter to the frenzy. Jasper, too, avoids them, haunted by guilt and suspicion that the camera's lens might judge him for his traps. Nevertheless, a short video surfaces online, captured by one of the search party volunteers, showing Lily leaning against Echo's side, half buried in blankets the night she was found. The clip's raw emotion resonates with viewers far beyond Valley Forge. Wild Horse Saves Missing Girl in Colorado Blizzard, reads one headline. With each passing day, the story grows, transforming Lily and Echo into local celebrities of sorts. A town hall debate. The local government, led by the county commissioner, schedules an emergency town hall to discuss the Mustang issue. The timing is no coincidence. They sense the public's interest and worry about national scrutiny on how Valley Forge handles its wild horse population. On the day of the meeting, flurries swirl outside the community center, but the auditorium is packed. Claire sits in the front row wearing her veterinarian's coat with the name Dr. C. Monroe stitched over the pocket. Next to her, Lily fidgets, anxious but determined to hear the conversation. Jasper stands at the back, arms folded, while Tommy lingers at his side, occasionally glancing around nervously. The hum of voices fills the space, a crescendo of tension. When the meeting is called to order, the commissioner strides to the podium, clearing his throat into the microphone. Thank you all for coming. We're here to address concerns about the local wild Mustang population, particularly in light of recent events involving Dr. Monroe's daughter. He gestures for Claire to speak. She does so, stepping onto the stage with calm resolve. As many of you know, I've dedicated my career to the conservation of wild horses. Their presence in this ecosystem isn't arbitrary. They've roamed these plains for centuries. While it's true they can damage fences and compete with livestock for grazing, there are humane management strategies such as birth control programs and relocation initiatives that can minimize conflict without resorting to traps or lethal calls. A smattering of applause arises mostly from younger attendees and wildlife advocates. Some ranchers shift uncomfortably in their seats. One older man in a cowboy hat steps to the microphone, voice gruff. I've lost good pasture to those herds. My fences get trampled faster than I can fix them. Doesn't the community have the right to defend its livelihood? Claire nods, acknowledging his concern. Yes, but defense doesn't have to mean cruelty. Mustangs can be relocated to sanctuaries. Fences can be reinforced or replaced with more horse-friendly designs. We can explore cost-sharing programs or state grants. It's about balancing our needs with theirs. A ripple of murmurs passes through the crowd. The tension is palpable, yet Claire can see that some are listening, intently intrigued by the new possibilities or simply swayed by the story of Lily and Echo. Jasper's turn. Then, in a moment that surprises many, Jasper Walker raises his hand. He clears his throat, eyes scanning the crowd before focusing on the microphone. His voice is low, taut with emotion. I'm Jasper Walker, he begins. Some of you know me, know how I feel about horses. I've blamed them for a lot of pain in my life, and I set traps. I wanted them off my land. A hush descends. Even the commissioner looks startled by Jasper's candid admission. Jasper continues, gaze flicking briefly to Lily. But last week I saw my grandson help that little foal stuck in one of my traps. And that mare, she saved a life when she didn't have to. I saw it with my own eyes, so maybe it's time I stop blaming these animals for what happened to my boy. A flicker of anguish crosses his face. He hesitates, swallowing hard. I'm not saying it'll be easy. We'll need solutions, funding folks who know how to handle Mustangs. But I'm here to say I'll pull out every trap I set, and I'll support whatever humane plan Dr. Monroe or the county put forward. A stunned silence follows. Lily watches from her seat, eyes shining with gratitude. Tommy's face breaks into a relieved smile. Several people in the audience nod or whisper in surprise. Perhaps in that unexpected moment, a door cracks open. If Jasper Walker, the most vocal Mustang critic, can change his stance, maybe there's hope for a new consensus. A breakthrough announcement. The commissioner clears his throat. Thank you, Mr. Walker. It's encouraging to see people in this community willing to shift perspectives. We're in discussions with the State Wildlife Department about a new conservation and coexistence program. This includes controlled fertility for the mare's, dedicated funds for sanctuary expansions, and resources for ranchers to reinforce fencing. Dr. Monroe has offered to head the veterinary side, ensuring minimal stress on the horses. He glances around, voice steady. We're prepared to sign a formal agreement with the state in the coming weeks. In the meantime, we'll cease all captures and lethal calls unless a direct danger to human life arises. That's the best compromise we can reach. A round of applause sweeps the hall, cautious but genuine. Lily feels a weight lift from her chest. Out of the corner of her eye, she sees Jasper exhale, tension draining from his rugged features. Maybe the blizzard of hostility is passing. Within the next few days, the immediate crisis of the foal's health resolves enough for Dr. Patel to consider releasing them. The leg wound, while still healing, is no longer in danger of infection. Echo remains restless in captivity, pacing each morning and whinnying toward the distant mountains where her herd roams. Everyone agrees that Mother and Foal will recover faster back in the wild, provided they aren't hounded by traps. Early one frosty morning, a small caravan of vehicles heads to a broad pasture near the foothills. Claire's truck, Jasper's pickup, and a state ranger's SUV. The trailer carrying Echo and her foal rumbles along a dirt track. Lily and Tommy ride in Jasper's cab, leaning forward to peer at the trailer through the back window. When they reach a gently sloping meadow ringed by pines, they come to a halt. Claire hops out first, calling instructions to the ranger. A hush falls as the ramp is lowered. Echo's ears appear, then her proud silver head. She whinnies, stomping the trailer's floor in anticipation. The foal, now bearing only a light bandage, pokes his nose out, sniffing the air. Carefully, the group opens the gates. They stand back. For a heartbeat, Echo hesitates, as if uncertain whether freedom is real or just another trick. Then she steps down, hooves sinking into the snow. Her foal follows, trembling at first, but soon finding his footing. The mother and child stand in the meadow sides, quivering with excitement and residual anxiety. Their breath creates white clouds in the cold morning air. Lily can't help but inch closer, despite Claire's caution. Echo's dark eyes meet Lily's from several yards away. Lily raises a hand, a silent farewell, or perhaps an invitation to linger a moment longer. The mare shifts, swishes her tail, and then emits a soft nicker. For a moment, Lily imagines she can hear words unspoken. "Thank you." Then Echo nudges her foal, and the two trot away, snow scattering behind them. Claire wraps an arm around Lily's shoulders, pulling her close. "You did good, sweetheart," she whispers. Lily nods, tears glistening in her eyes. A wave of relief, joy, and sadness washes over her. Relief at setting Echo free, joy in seeing the mare stride with familiar grace, sadness in letting go of a creature who had become in some small way her protector. Tommy stands alongside Jasper, watching the Mustangs disappear into the tree line. The old man exhales, removing his hat in a gesture that's both respectful and pensive. "Safe travels," he mutters under his breath, as though the words might carry on the crisp wind. A community shift. From that day on, the question of Mustangs in Valley Forge becomes less about hostility and more about cooperation. The new conservation plan rolls out a small team tracks and monitors the horses, administering fertility control to limit population booms. Some ranchers express relief, others remain cautious, but the general consensus is that it's better than bloodshed. No more hidden snares line the forests. No more menacing talk of culls. Local media shift their tone, producing segments about the reform Mustang policy and praising the town for choosing a humane path. Tourists curious about the story they saw on the news begin to trickle in. They stop at local diners and shops, asking about the silver mare and the brave little girl. A wave of subtle economic benefit encourages even the stubborn ranchers to acknowledge that these horses might bring new opportunities: wildlife tours, photography, cultural heritage. During all this, Lily returns to her daily routine: school chores at the farmhouse, but she's no longer the same child she was before. Nightmares of the blizzard still visit her, jolting her awake with visions of endless white and howling wind. Yet those fears gradually soften, tempered by memories of Echo's warm breath and the foal's trembling trust. In class, she becomes more talkative, sharing bits of her story with wide-eyed classmates. They ask about the cave, the wolves, and how it felt to ride home with Echo in a trailer. Lily answers haltingly at first, then more comfortably, sensing that her experiences might inspire others to see animals and nature in a new light. As the Christmas holiday approaches, Valley Forge gears up for a modest town festival, an annual tradition that includes a small parade, a holiday market, and a tree lighting ceremony in the central square. Usually it's a low-key affair, but this year anticipation runs higher. Residents sense a renewed spirit of unity, as if Lily and Echo's story has cast a hopeful glow over the old traditions. Tommy volunteers alongside Lily to help decorate the community center. They string tinsel and lights, place evergreen boughs along windows, and set up a modest nativity scene. When they finish one afternoon, Lily admires the shimmering lights and the faint smell of pine sap. She smiles at Tommy, who's perched on a ladder, adjusting a star ornament. He grins back. Their friendship, forged in crisis, now blossoms in day-to-day camaraderie. Later that week, Claire and Jasper finalize details for a special wild horse outreach booth that will appear at the festival. It's a space to share information about Mustang conservation, rancher collaboration, and ways townspeople can get involved. Claire collects pamphlets from wildlife agencies, and Tommy helps her design a bright poster featuring a silhouette of Echo against a snowy background. Protect our Mustangs. Protect our home, it reads. Lily suggests including simple diagrams showing how fertility control works and how fences can be made Mustang-friendly. The day of the festival. The morning of the festival arrives under clear skies and crisp air. Snow glistens under pale sunlight, and the promise of a storm-free day puts everyone in good spirits. Merchants set up stalls around the square, selling handmade crafts, hot chocolate, and warm pastries. Children dart between booths, giggling as they chase each other. A large Christmas tree stands at the heart of the square, waiting to be lit at sundown. Strings of lights dangle from nearby lampposts, their bulbs unlit until dusk. A gentle background hum of Christmas carols drifts from an old speaker system. Volunteers bustle about ensuring everything is ready. Claire and Lily arrive early to organize the outreach booth. They spread out colorful brochures, place a large donation jar for the new Mustang Education Fund, and hang the poster with Echo's silhouette. People gather curiously, recognizing Lily from the news stories. She tries to smile politely, but being the center of attention still unsettles her. Jasper ambles over, adjusting his worn coat. "Need me to do anything?" he asks awkwardly, still not entirely comfortable with his new position as a reluctant advocate. Claire hands him a stack of flyers. "You could hand these out direct folks to the booth. Let them know about the new protective measures." He nods, drifting into the crowd, distributing the literature. Some ranchers eye him with surprise. Jasper Walker handing out Mustang flyers, but no one mocks him. A few even clap him on the shoulder, a quiet acknowledgement of respect. A roar of whispers, Echo appears. Afternoon slides toward evening. Families gather for the tree lighting ceremony. Lily stands with Tommy and Sadie near the edge of the square, nibbling on a gingerbread cookie. The mayor steps up to the microphone, welcoming everyone, praising the community for pulling together after the fierce blizzard and thanking those who volunteered in the search for Lily. Applause ripples through the gathering. Suddenly, a collective gasp rustles across the square. Heads turn, people crane their necks. Lily, hearing the commotion, follows their gaze. Her heart stutters in her chest. Standing at the far end of the street, partially hidden by swirling snow, is Echo the Silver Mare. And behind her, limping but upright, is her gray foal. For a moment, everyone in the square seems to freeze. No one expected the wild horses to venture so close to town, especially not after being released back into the foothills. Yet here they are, a living symbol of everything that's changed. Echo stands motionless, ears pricked, scanning the throng of humans and bright lights. Lily barely breathes. She can't tell if this is an illusion conjured by winter dusk. But then the foal takes a step forward, dropping his head to sniff at a patch of snow near the curb. Echo nickers softly, the sound carrying through the hush. A heart-stopping moment. People fumble for cameras or phones. The mayor stands at the microphone, speechless, eyes wide. Some children tug at their parents' sleeves, pointing in disbelief. Others recoil, slightly unsure if the Mustangs are dangerous. Then Lily steps forward, heart pounding so fiercely she can feel it in her ears. She moves gently between the stalls, crossing the street to where Echo stands. Out of the corner of her eye, she sees Claire start after her. But Lily lifts a hand, signaling that she's okay. The crowd parts, letting her through. Echo snorts, shifting her weight. Despite the bustle of the festival, her gaze locks on Lily. At last, Lily stops a few feet away. Snow glitters around them in the glow of half-lit decorations. The foal limps to Echo's side, the faint outline of a scar visible where the bandage once was. Lily's throat tightens with emotion. The memory of their shared cave, the hissing wind, the trembling flames, the snarl of wolves, it all rushes back. High she breathes, voice trembling in the cold air. Echo lowers her head and Lily extends her palm. Their eyes meet, an unspoken understanding passing between them. The mare's breath is warm against Lily's skin, carrying the scent of grass and pine. Slowly, Lily turns, glancing at the crowd. She senses the hush behind her, the weight of hundreds of eyes. Carefully, she lifts her hand to stroke Echo's neck. The silver coat shimmers under the faint light. The foal, shy yet drawn by Lily's presence, noses closer. Lily steadies herself, letting the foal sniff her jacket. "You're okay," she whispers. She feels tears welling up, tears of relief, gratitude, and a poignant sense of reunion. A collective shift. No one in the crowd dares move hastily. Even the mayor stands transfixed. Journalists, should they be present, are too stunned to do anything but stare. In that silent moment, the entire community witnesses the living testament to their new understanding. A wild horse once deemed a menace stands in trust with the child it saved. And the child, once a victim of the storm, now stands as a bridge between two worlds. Then softly, as though pulled from a dream, applause begins. It starts with a few claps, growing into a warm, thunderous cheer that reverberates off the buildings. Tears glimmer in the eyes of those who remember the fear and hostility of mere weeks ago. Something has shifted in Valley Forge, and the sight of Echo under the softly falling snow cements that change for all to see. At length, Echo raises her head, ears swiveling at the noise. Lily steps back, sensing the mare's restlessness. The foal flicks his tail. They've lingered as if to pay a final visit, but their domain lies beyond the flickering holiday lights. Echo takes one last look at Lily, and Lily swears she sees a hint of farewell in the mare's dark eyes. With a snort, Echo turns, guiding her foal past the gathered crowd. Hooves clop on slushy pavement for a few seconds, then vanish into the drifted snow at the far side of town. The tree lights up. The hush remains until the Mustangs fade from view. Then, as if on cue, the town's Christmas tree comes to life, strings of colored bulbs illuminating the square. Gasps and exclamations ripple. A wave of warmth floods the festival as the community celebrates both the holiday and a deeper triumph, the acknowledgement that they can coexist with the wild. Claire hurries to Lily, wrapping her in a tight embrace, tears on her cheeks. Jasper stands beside them, hat in hand, a mixture of awe and humility etched on his face. Tommy beams, bounding up to Lily. They exchange a grin that speaks volumes. We never thought this moment possible. In the glow of the lights, the town rejoices, forging a rare unity. People crowd around the Mustang outreach booth, eager to learn how they can participate in preserving these magnificent animals. Others talk excitedly about how Valley Forge might become known as a haven for Mustangs, turning what was once considered a pest into a point of collective pride. Canonary. Time passes and the seasons shift. The snows melt, giving way to a glorious spring and the hum of new growth. Summer and autumn come and go with their own rhythms. By the time winter returns, Lily Monroe is 10 years old, standing taller, her demeanor more open and confident than a year before. The nightmares have receded, replaced by a quiet determination that sets her apart from her peers. In the heart of Valley Forge, a new facility rises on a patch of donated land, the Wild Mustang Education Center. Funded partly by public donations, partly by county grants, and bolstered by the swirl of publicity that followed Lily's rescue, the center stands as a testament to the fragile bond between humans and Mustangs. It's a modest building, wooden beams, wide windows that overlook the rolling plains, but inside it houses a small visitors area, educational displays, and even a space for rescued or recovering horses to graze safely. Grand opening on a crisp December afternoon. Lily, Tommy, Claire, Jasper, and dozens of townspeople gather for the center's grand opening. Claire wears a new veterinarian's coat emblazoned with the center's logo, a stylized silhouette of Echo. She beams with pride as Lily cuts a ceremonial ribbon, the giant scissors almost too big for her small hands. Volunteers cheer, snapping photos. Among them are school teachers, ranchers who've come around to the idea of coexistence, and a handful of wildlife officers. The mayor offers a brief speech praising Lily's bravery and Claire's leadership, acknowledging Jasper's transformation and celebrating Tommy's volunteer efforts. The mood is festive, suffused with optimism that would have seemed impossible a year ago. The night of remembrance. That evening, Lily rests in her new office, a corner of the center outfitted with a desk stacked high with pamphlets, notebooks full of Mustang observations, and a computer for tracking herd movements. She's not really in charge, but everyone jokes that the place belongs to her in spirit. Sadie naps at her feet, snoring softly. Lily flips through photographs pinned to a corkboard on the wall, one of her father standing next to a horse corral, smiling in the sun. Another of Echo with her foal taken during their release. A news clipping showing Lily and Claire hugging after Lily's rescue. She traces a finger over each image, lost in thought. A soft knock on the door startles her. Tommy peeks in, carrying 2 steaming cups of cocoa. "Thought you might need this," he says, offering her one. "Thanks," Lily replies, taking the cup. They sip in companionable silence for a moment. "How does it feel?" Tommy asks, gesturing around at the newly opened center. Lily smiles, like a dream, or maybe like the next chapter of something bigger. Tommy grins, sitting on the edge of her desk. Who knows, maybe someday we'll have tourists from all over the country here to learn about Mustangs. She nods, gaze drifting to a window that frames the darkening plains. I hope so. They're interrupted by the distant sound of barking. Sadie, now fully alert, stands at the glass door, tail rigid. Lily and Tommy exchange a glance. The dog's barking is urgent, echoing down the hallway. Without hesitation, the 2 children abandon their cocoa and follow Sadie out into the night. Midnight encounter. Outside, the sky is a canvas of velvet black sprinkled with stars. A gentle breeze sends snowflakes dancing across the moonlit fields. Lily breathes in the crisp air, feeling a ripple of excitement that she can't quite name. Sadie bounds ahead toward the edge of the property, where a thin line of pines marks the beginning of wilder terrain. Lily and Tommy hurry after her. In the distance, the center's security lights cast a soft glow, but beyond that, the darkness feels vast and uncharted. Halfway to the pines, Sadie halts, tail wagging so hard it sets her whole body in motion. Lily stops beside the dog, heart thumping. For a moment, she sees nothing but the shadows of trees. Then a faint shape moves near the tree line, a shape that glistens under a stray beam of moonlight. Silver. Echo stands there, regal and still, as though conjured from a dream. And at her flank is another foal, fresh and young, stepping nervously in the snow. Lily's breath catches tears prickling her eyes. She raises a hand just as she did that night a year ago, whispering, "Echo." Tommy sucks in a breath. Is that a new foal? Lily nods, too overwhelmed for words. Her heart feels like it might burst, 1,000 emotions, colliding memories of storms and wolves, days of survival, the miracle of a Mustang's trust, and the thrill of standing on the brink of wonder once again. Echo steps forward, the new foal stumbling behind her. They stop at the meadow's edge, perhaps 50 feet from Lily. Mother and child stand in silhouette, their breath steaming in the cold air. There's an unspoken greeting, a shared recognition that transcends speech or logic. Lily draws in a shaky breath. This time she doesn't try to approach. She knows Echo is wild, meant to roam free. Instead, she simply offers a smile, tears sliding down her cheeks. She remembers the vow she made to honor the mare that once saved her life, to share that story with anyone willing to listen. Tommy stands close, eyes wide, also struck silent by the beauty of the moment. Sadie barks once, then quiets, as if even the dog understands this is a sacred encounter. Echo snorts, dipping her head. The new foal mimics her, stumbling in the snow, but managing to keep its balance. For a fleeting instant, their eyes meet Lily's. Then, as softly as they appeared, they turn and trot back into the shadows of the pines, silver coats disappearing into the silent forest. The final words. Lily presses a hand to her mouth, tears glimmering in the moonlight. Tommy rests a gentle hand on her shoulder. Neither speaks for several long breaths, absorbing the overwhelming sense of awe and gratitude. At last, Lily finds her voice, eyes never leaving the spot where Echo vanished into the trees. Her words come out in a near whisper, laced with a promise that resonates through the hush of winter's night. Some echoes never fade. They just find a new place to be heard. Snow drifts lazily down, reflecting the moon's glow. Lily closes her eyes, committing the image of Echo and her foal to memory, an eternal reminder of survival, compassion, and the enduring mystery of the wild. Within the hush that follows, it feels as though all the land, all the sky, and all the hidden creatures of Valley Forge pause to acknowledge this fragile truce, one that might yet become a lasting harmony between man and Mustang.